The United States makes the UN work when it wants it to work. And that is exactly the way it should be, because the only question to the United States is what's in our national interest.
My name is John, and the International Criminal Court is now in session. It is March 10th, 2025, and disaster. Before we start, by the way, I said in the last video that I was going to take some time off, but I lied. This news was too much for me to ignore and to not make a video on. So yeah, I apologize if I deceived you guys into thinking that I was going to go on a hiatus. But as I said, the news that I am reporting here is huge. And if anything, it could be consequential for the war going forward. So, with that being said, let's talk about Kursk. And there is a lot of news coming out of here. So, as you can see, wow. Just look at that. It's almost gone. The whole Suja pocket in the Kursk Oblast, which the Ukrainians invaded back in August 2024, is almost wiped out. Despite all their efforts to either hold on to the territory or to gain, the Ukrainians were not successful in doing so. And now they're on the brink of being completely expelled from Kursk, and also possibly facing a Russian offensive in the Sumy region. It is very likely that the Russians are going to start an offensive into Sumy very soon. Well, not just these border incursions, but a proper one. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a deep, like, super big arrow offensive, but I do think it's going to be something. Maybe resembling what we saw with Kharkiv or Kharkov last year in May. But otherwise, I don't see it really resulting like in anything special, if you ask me. But they'll definitely make some advances here and there. But anyway, where to start? Oh boy. So the Russians took the village of Martinovka, Mikhailovka. They also took the village of Mirny. They took the village of Bondarivka. They have retook most of Makhanovka. They retook Komakov. They retook, let's see here. What did they also retake? Because they retook a lot. Zazulivka. They took Kubatkin, Yuzini, Ivash Kovlishki, or, god damn it, Ivash Kovshkli, or Ki. I don't know how to pronounce these names, sorry. Pravda. They retook Cherkaskoy, Porishny, Kositsa. They retook Nikolsky, Viktorovka. They retook, this is the big one, Malia Laknia, Nikolaevka, Staria Sarichna, and Alexandria, just to name a few. The Russians literally have been steamrolling everything from Pogribki and also from here, literally to the town of Suja itself. And before this big offensive occurred within the Kursk region, the Russians have been nearing the border with Ukraine within Sumy, and have been getting dangerously close to cutting off this road, which is the only road going into Sumy, into Kursk region. And since the reports came out that this road was under Russian fire control, the Ukrainians essentially had no way to get in and out quite easily. So the Russians saw this as a golden opportunity to strike big, and boy, did they strike big. They are not only on the brink of retaking Suja, but they have entered and are currently contesting for the town right now. Literally. Everything is now back to what it was in August 2024, like almost, that is. And the Ukrainians, if anything, are on their way out the door. They are leaving the Kursk region as we speak, and it's now all but certain that the failure of this half-year-long Ukrainian offensive in a bid to capture the Kursk power plant, which is just outside of the city of Kurchatov, has failed. They failed to take Lvov. They failed to take Rilsk. They failed to take basically any more notable settlements after Sudzha. This offensive has been a complete, utter failure. And if the Russians deepen their pushes into Sumy region, it will only make matters even worse. There's reports, by the way, of high Ukrainian casualties as we speak, and I honestly don't know how else to describe it. Now, for those of you who are wondering, how much territory did the Russians take? Well, apparently hundreds of square kilometers, if you ask me. Now, here's the thing. Just for reference, so this is Kursk today in March 2025, and this was the situation last year in September 2024. They had control at one point 896 square kilometers. But now in 2025, this has now all been reduced to just 288 square kilometers. So they lost like 200 plus square kilometers since September. And it appears that, again, as I said, the Russians are digging into Sumy. Now, we don't know exactly how far the Russians are going to go into the region itself. But as I said, if they were going to do something, it would probably resemble Kharkiv 2024, if you ask me. But yeah, the Kursk adventure is coming to an end for the armed forces of Ukraine, and it will probably cement one of their biggest defeats / humiliations to date. They were literally using this whole pocket as a political leverage, or at least that's what they were attempting to do, and they failed. Not only are they about to lose this area, but Russians are entering Sumy. And Zelensky himself said, this is like one of the excuses the Ukrainians said for the failure in Kursk, was that they did this because they didn't want the Russians to invade Sumy. Well, they are in Sumy now. So talk about an epic fail on Ukraine's part. So yeah, we're going to see what happens in the next few days, but there is no doubt in my mind that Ukraine will be leaving Sudzha very soon. I don't think there's going to be a lot of fighting for it, though. From what I've seen via the drone footage provided to us by Russia, Sudzha looks pretty wrecked. It does. And I'm not going to be shocked if it's going to take a while for this town to be rebuilt, because it looks absolutely awful right now. But anyway, let's move to the other fronts. So, Ukrainians have been on a counteroffensive in the Kharkiv region. They have been pushing up north of Kupiansk here and are nearing the village of Sinkovka. They have also been trying to stop the Russians along the Oska River, and so far they have been successful in doing so. Ukrainians have also continued their counteroffensive in Toretsk city, and so far Ukrainians have generated some pretty positive results, but they haven't dealt that knockout punch yet to the Russians. But yeah, they're continuing their counteroffensive here, and they might make some gains before, more gains before the Russians show up. The Russians have also advanced north of Zeline Apule, but that's pretty much it. And Ukrainians have so far done quite well in their counteroffensive outside of the city of Pokrovsk. They have so far recaptured the half of Shevchenko, but the Russians so far are attempting a counteroffensive to kick out the Ukrainians from Shevchenko. And Ukrainians are also trying to capitalize on what they gained back in Uspanivka. But so far, they haven't been able to do so. The Russians have also taken complete control over the village of Constantinople and have also pushed the Russians back just a little bit outside of the villages of Berlatsky and Privilne, sorry. But, however, the Russians did say, though, however, that they are entering the village of Vilne Pule right now, which is one of the last villages, if not the last village, before you enter Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. And there have been reports of back-and-forth fightings going on in the Zaporozhye region, but that's honestly it. Nothing really going on here too much. And yeah, that's pretty much it for what's going on, like, literally on the front line. That's literally all, folks. Now, just a little news before we close out today's video. From what I understand, there has been a bit of a dispute regarding whether or not if the United States will continue aid or no longer send any aid to Ukraine. It's literally a question that's up in the air. Apparently, the United States is going to go to Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, I think, to go visit with the Ukrainian government. And I also heard that Zelensky has bent the knee to Donald Trump and has apologized to him for what had happened a week or two ago. And also, I should mention that the Americans have reached a new mineral deal, not with Ukraine, but with the DRC. Another Mickey Mouse state. DR Congo gives its minerals to the United States, but not Ukraine. Silly stuff. Just complete insanity. So DR Congo is willing to take the place of Ukraine, while Ukraine is left behind. And I also heard reports that Ukrainians were also allegedly responsible for the attack on X/Twitter today, though it has yet to be confirmed, though many said it was a pro-Palestinian group that did it. And if you ask me, I think that was an inside job for Elon Musk, just to find an excuse to stop giving the Ukrainians access to Starlink, even though Elon has said numerous times that he would not, under any circumstances, shut off Starlink to Ukrainian army. But it wouldn't be too surprising to me if he were to flip-flop on that. And if Starlink were to ever be switched off for the Ukrainians, Ukraine is cooked. They will absolutely get steamrolled by the Russians without this proper use of communication, and the war will be over very quickly. You'll see a Syria-esque scenario in Ukraine if Starlink were to be turned off. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's video, everybody. I'm sorry if it was short, but other than Kursk, everything else has been stagnant. But yeah, so I hope all of you guys found the video informative, along with enjoying it, and I'll see you all next time. So I hope all of you have a great day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out. Bye.